What does it mean to be a foolish man in today's world? Is it someone who makes bad decisions, or someone who never learns from them? You've probably crossed paths with people who keep making the same mistakes over and over. But here's the real problem. A foolish man doesn't just fail. He's blind to the lessons that failure offers. He repeats his mistakes, and always finds someone else to blame. But today, we're not talking about just anyone. We're exploring the 15 traits that define a foolish man, through the eyes of one of history's sharpest minds, Niccolò Machiavelli. This is your chance to spot the hidden habits that hold people back, and that might be holding you back too. This isn't just about foolishness. It's about the deeper forces behind weakness, manipulation, and personal failure. Stick with me to the end, because by then, you'll know how to recognize these traits in others and in yourself. Let's get started. There's a fine line between being open-hearted and being dangerously naive. A foolish man doesn't see that line. He walks right past it with his eyes closed. He believes every word, every smile, every handshake, as if the world were full of saints and soulmates. But as Machiavelli warned, men who trust too easily are the easiest to manipulate. Life isn't a playground. It's more like a chessboard. And on that board, blind trust is a strategy that always ends in checkmate. Trust has its place, but a wise man tests before he trusts. He watches how people behave when they think no one's watching. He listens not just to what is said, but to what is conveniently left out. The foolish man, though, thinks doubting others makes him cold or paranoid. So he lets anyone in, and one by one, they take what they want and vanish. You see this in relationships, in business, in politics. The man who says I just go with my gut without checking facts often ends up broke, betrayed, or broken-hearted. Not because the world is cruel, but because he handed over the keys to his house and expected everyone to wipe their feet at the door. Trust must be earned, not assumed. People don't show you who they are with words. They show it with consistency, under pressure, and when there's something to gain. And the hardest part? The foolish man rarely learns. He tells himself he was just too kind, as if kindness was the crime. But kindness isn't the issue. Lack of discernment is. Every fool who gets burned swears it'll be different next time, then lights the same fire. While he's busy blaming the world, he never asks why he left the door wide open. The foolish man believes that speaking more makes him appear smarter. But most of the time, that's just noise trying to cover insecurity. Machiavelli understood this. Power often comes from silence, not speech. A man who constantly explains, interrupts, or gives opinions on everything is rarely taken seriously. He's just filling space. The more he talks, the more he reveals what he doesn't know. People don't always talk to connect. They talk to control. A foolish man hijacks conversations not to learn, but to dominate. He can't bear not being the center of attention. So he floods every room with words, hoping quantity will make up for lack of depth. But while he's busy being loud, he misses the quiet cues that powerful people are always watching. There's a confidence in silence that fools don't understand. The man who knows his value doesn't need to narrate it constantly. The wisest people in the room are often the ones asking questions, not answering them. They observe, listen, and notice what others miss. The fool's mouth never stops, and in that noise, he exposes everything he meant to hide. Think about it. When someone talks too much about how honest they are, you start to doubt them. When they brag about how loyal or brave they are, something feels off. That's the paradox of over-explaining. It signals weakness, not strength. The real danger isn't just that others notice, it's that the foolish man doesn't. There's a hidden desperation behind the smile of a man who craves approval. You've seen it, the guy who agrees with everyone, flatters constantly, and avoids conflict like it's a wildfire. At first, he seems charming, but Machiavelli would call him what he truly is, weak. A foolish man confuses being liked with being respected, and trades away his backbone for applause that never lasts. The man who seeks approval is a slave to perception. Every move he makes is filtered through the question, will they like me if I do this? He bends, shapeshifts, and compromises until he forgets who he is. Why? Because he fears being disliked more than he fears being forgotten. But those who bend too easily rarely inspire loyalty. People may like them, but they don't trust them. Respect comes from conviction, from standing your ground, even when it's unpopular. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being centered. The foolish man can't say no without guilt. He can't draw a line without second-guessing it. He lives for validation, and dies a little inside every time he doesn't get it. You don't have to be rude to be real. You don't have to offend to be firm. But you do have to choose between being liked for who you pretend to be, and being respected for who you truly are. The foolish man, in his quest to please everyone, ends up pleasing no one, not even himself. And what happens when he can't read the room? Because he's too busy trying to be its favorite. The foolish man is afraid of silence, not just in the world around him, but inside himself. A moment of stillness? He can't stand it. He needs to fill every gap, every pause, every quiet second with noise. Talking, joking, fidgeting, anything to avoid sitting alone with his thoughts. But as Machiavelli would argue, a man who can't sit quietly with himself will always be ruled by someone else. Silence is where real understanding begins. It's where you sort through thoughts, examine motives, and hear what actually matters. But the foolish man treats silence like a threat. He fills the void with meaningless chatter, hoping to drown out doubt and discomfort. Instead of listening to the silence, he runs from it, and misses the wisdom hidden inside it. Constant noise prevents growth. Every time you talk over the silence, you block your ability to learn, about others, about the world, about yourself. The wise man listens first, speaks second. But the fool? He just can't stop the sound of his own voice. And in doing so, he misses everything the world was trying to tell him. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you embraced silence, not out of awkwardness, but with confidence? The foolish man avoids it like it's a threat. But the wise know, in the stillness, truth emerges. And once you can face that silence, you can face almost anything. But what if silence is just the beginning? A man without a strategy is like a ship without a rudder. He drifts, reacts, and repeats. The foolish man doesn't think ahead, he just acts. Every choice is made on impulse, driven by emotion instead of intention. Machiavelli knew, the man without a plan will always be controlled by the plans of others, and while the world moves with precision, he's stuck playing catch-up with chaos. You've seen him, rushing into deals, chasing relationships, making life-altering decisions without thinking twice. He believes spontaneity is freedom, but it's really just a mask for fear of commitment. Planning requires responsibility, and that terrifies him. The result? He becomes a prisoner of his own reactions, always moving, but never moving forward. Impulse gives the illusion of action, but strategy creates real progress. The wise man steps back, calculates, prepares. He sees the game 10 moves ahead, while the fool is stuck playing one piece at a time. The impulsive man gets excitement, but the strategic man gets results. And in the long run, results always win. Here's the twist: the foolish man usually doesn't even realize how reckless he is. He thinks he's bold, brave, decisive. But boldness without purpose is just noise. The man with no map gets lost, even when he's moving fast. And sooner or later, that speed takes him somewhere he never intended to go. The foolish man is ruled by emotion, and nothing shows that more than how easily he gets offended. A comment, a tone, a harmless joke, and suddenly, he's in a storm. He takes everything personally because he doesn't know who he is beneath the noise. Machiavelli would say, a man who can't control his feelings will always be controlled by others. Reacting emotionally may feel powerful, but it exposes your weakness. Each time the foolish man lashes out, complains, or shuts down, he gives away his power. He makes it easy for the world to manipulate him, because they know exactly where to press. He thinks his anger protects him, but really, it cages him. The wise man stays grounded. He feels emotion, but doesn't let it drive the car. He listens, reflects, and chooses how to respond. The foolish man? He's triggered by everything, and learns from nothing. That's not strength, it's emotional slavery. You've met him. The man who can't take a joke, a critique, or a hard truth. He shuts down or explodes, because his sense of self is so fragile, it can't handle friction. But real confidence doesn't react, it observes. And the moment you stop reacting, you start winning. But what happens when emotion turns into aggression disguised as strength? One of the most dangerous traits of the foolish man is his belief that cruelty is strength. He thinks being harsh, loud, or intimidating makes him powerful. But real power doesn't come from dominance, it comes from control. Machiavelli knew, those who rule by fear often rule for a short time. Because what fear builds, fear can destroy. It's easy to confuse force with influence. The cruel man pushes people, shames them, crushes them, thinking that's what a leader does. But he doesn't earn loyalty. He breeds silence, resentment, and rebellion. He mistakes the absence of resistance for respect, and that's where he begins to fall. True strength isn't loud, it's calm, composed, deliberate. The wise man commands attention not through fear, but through presence. He doesn't need to crush others to prove his value. He knows that people follow clarity, not cruelty. The foolish man is afraid of appearing weak, so he overcompensates with aggression. But underneath that toughness is fear. Fear of being questioned, challenged, or exposed. And sooner or later, people stop listening and start planning their escape. Because no one respects a tyrant, they just wait for him to fall. The foolish man loves the idea of luck. He waits for it, dreams about it, and blames the universe when it doesn't show up. He believes that one day, everything will magically fall into place, without doing the work. But Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the prepared, not the passive. And that's the difference between wishing and winning. While the foolish man is hoping for a miracle, the wise man is preparing for an opportunity. He knows that when luck finally arrives, it won't wait around. It knocks once, and only those ready will open the door. The fool sees luck as the plan. The wise man sees it as a bonus to a strategy already in motion. Luck feels good. It's fast, exciting, and easy to blame when life goes wrong. But it's not reliable. Preparation, on the other hand, is silent, slow, and powerful. It doesn't care about timing. It creates its own. The man who prepares daily never fears bad luck, because he trusts his process more than a roll of the dice. The foolish man will keep buying lottery tickets, in business, in love, in life. But when things fall apart, he doesn't ask what he failed to do. He just curses the stars. Because it's easier to blame luck than to admit you never prepared to win. The foolish man doesn't want truth, he wants praise. He surrounds himself with flatterers, not because they challenge him, but because they never do. He thinks admiration equals loyalty. But Machiavelli warned, those who flatter you are rarely your allies. They're mirrors that reflect only what you want to see, not what you need to see. Flatterers are comfortable, predictable, and convenient. They nod when you speak, agree when you're wrong, and vanish when things go bad. They feed your ego, but starve your growth. The foolish man sees this as friendship, but it's really manipulation. The wise man chooses truth, even when it hurts. He surrounds himself with people who challenge him, who offer correction, not just applause. Because real allies don't flatter, they sharpen. The foolish man avoids these people, because truth threatens the fantasy he's built around himself. The sad part? He confuses being liked with being respected, and never realizes he's respected by no one, until it's too late. And when the applause stops, he's left with silence, and no one willing to speak the truth. The foolish man sees failure not as a lesson, but as someone else's fault. When things go wrong, he points fingers, avoids mirrors, and walks away unchanged. Machiavelli would say, the man who never takes responsibility will never rise above his circumstances. Because growth begins where blame ends. Blaming others feels safe. It keeps the ego intact and the pain at a distance. But it also keeps you stuck, replaying the same mistakes under different names. The wise man owns his choices. He asks hard questions, faces hard truths, and uses defeat as a blueprint for the next move. The foolish man, though, believes the world is out to get him. He's the victim, the misunderstood genius, the unlucky soul. Everyone is to blame, except him. But that mindset guarantees one thing: repetition. The same failures, again and again, until life becomes a loop he can't escape. The path to wisdom starts with a single step: accountability. Not self-punishment, just honest reflection. But the foolish man refuses that step, and so he walks in circles, blaming the path, but never checking his own direction. We've covered 10 powerful traits that define a foolish man. And maybe, just maybe, you recognized one or two in yourself. That's not a weakness. That's awareness. Machiavelli didn't write to flatter. He wrote to awaken. To show that power isn't just about how you treat others, it's about how honest you are with yourself. The true test of growth is what you do with what you now know. Will you confront those blind spots? Will you have the courage to trade comfort for truth? Most won't, because self-awareness isn't easy. But it's where real power begins. So I challenge you. Don't just nod along and click away. Ask the hard questions. Where are you trusting the wrong people? Where are you reacting instead of thinking? Where are you blaming, instead of changing? If you found value in this video, subscribe, activate the bell, and share it with someone who needs it. The more we expose these traits, the more power we give to awareness. And the more we do that, the fewer foolish men we'll see in the mirror.